Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content.
Deep in the Somali countryside, mortar shells explode outside the hospital that Dr. Hawa Abdi has built to serve her people. Artillery slams into the cement walls and aluminum roof. Militant extremists are trying to take over her hospital. Nurse, move the patients to safety. Get them out the back. The nurses tuck in IVs, grab bottles of medicine, and wheel the patients out the back door. The last nurse to leave shouts, "Dr. Abdi, come on! You'll be in danger if you stay." The militants make their way through the village that surrounds the hospital. They kidnap some people, shoot others. They throw the village elders to the ground and beat them. Who knows what they'd do to a 60-something woman who's a physician, not a soldier. They're breaking through the hospital gate. Dr. Hawa Abdi knows what she has to do. She takes a deep breath and walks toward the gate, toward the guns, toward the leader of the extremists. She has no idea if she's going to live or die.
Hello, and welcome back to Badass of the Week, the show where we tell a badass history of badasses. I am Ben Thompson, and I am joined today by my co-host, Dr. Pat Larish. Pat, welcome back to the show.
Good to be here. How are you doing, Ben?
I'm doing okay. I've started doing this badass history of badasses thing at the beginning of episodes, and I like it. I feel like it has a good ring to it. It's how my agent said he used to pitch my book to publishers. And it's very descriptive. However, today, it's not really, I guess it's history, but it's not history in the sense that it is for some of the other stories we tell on the show.
Yeah, like not Ramses II of ancient Egypt or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is much more recent.
Yes, it's much more recent. And it's also a slight departure from what we usually talk about when we talk about badasses, I feel.
How would you describe our typical badass? Like someone who will...
I was just re-listening to our episode with Robin Pearson of History of Byzantium, and we were talking about the badass bingo card with heads on pikes and, cattle raids and things like that.
Sometimes you might wrestle a wild animal with your bare hands. Right.
And that's kind of what we've come to associate with characters that we see on the show. But this week, Pat, we have somebody a little different, even though there was a description that kind of equivocates her with badassery.
Yes. Today's badass was described by journalist Eliza Griswold as equal parts Mother Teresa and Rambo.
Which is an interesting mix of characters.
Indeed.
But she's not really like Rambo.
No, she's not. She's in situations that Rambo might find himself in.
Yes.
But she doesn't behave like Rambo.
A little different.
Yeah.
Maybe Mother Teresa can also be badass.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So we are going to talk today about a woman from Somalia who's a physician and will not defeat anybody in hand-to-hand combat throughout the course of this entire episode, which none of this immediately screams, some of these episodes were like this guy killed 20 people with an axe and then kept fighting with the severed legs when his axe broke. Like, this is not that kind of story, but I don't know. I'm excited to tell it, and I'm trying to kind of prime it in a way that's going to be powerful, because this woman, and she's an older woman for many of the heroic exploits that she will accomplish in her life, she is as tough as they come.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
She is braver than many characters that we have talked about, and probably more formidable as well.
Yes. Yeah. And she's made quite an impact on humanity.
Yes, for the positive across the
Yes.
board. So when we come back from this break, we are going to talk about Dr. Hawa Abdi of Somalia and how being a doctor in Somalia might require a little bit more badassitude than you'd probably expect. Stick with us. All right, welcome back to Badass of the Week. I am here with my co-host, Dr. Pat Larish. And Pat, we're going to tell the story of Dr. Hawa Abdi, who was born in Mogadishu, Somalia in 1947.
And Hawa, as she's growing up, as she's a young girl, she sees her mother get pregnant with other siblings. And when Hawa is 11, her mom is pregnant. And the pregnancy is very, very difficult. And as sometimes happens, Hawa's mother dies. Not literally in pregnancy, but due to complications from the pregnancy a little while later. And that's Hawa's, Batman moment. That's what inspires her to study medicine. She says, I want to try to prevent this from happening to other Somali women.
Which is possible at this time, because when we are looking at medieval history or Roman history, some of the more ancient times, died in childbirth is an expression, right? Died from complications of childbirth. That is a common expression because it happened a lot. But
yes,
at the time this happens, it's 1958. This is not happening as often in the world, and Somalia is having a higher incident rate of this than many other countries in the world. So there is technology, there is training, there is the ability to mitigate this available in the world, but it is not as common in Somalia in 1958 as it is in other parts of the world.
Yes. And also, it's 1958. Okay, obviously she's not going to medical school right at age 11, but what's her horizon of expectations? What is it like for a Somali girl to aspire to study medicine? So she's doing absolutely stellar in school. I get the impression that she's like the Lisa Simpson of her grade in Somali school, but her family doesn't have that much money. And as we'll find out, they do have some sorts of resources, but not of a sort that they can just snap their fingers and say, okay, we're sending Hawa to med school. And what about a scholarship?
Which must have been prohibitively expensive in Somalia, because I'm not even sure what medical training was like. And we're at a time period and a part of the world where, is it even, there's some parts of the world even today where women are not allowed to go to college. So
yeah,
is that a thing here?
Yeah, it's not that it wasn't allowed, but it was just kind of rare. And yes, there are scholarships to go to med school, scholarships to help fund your tuition, but those go to boys, not girls, or I suppose young men as opposed to young women. And medical education in Somalia, well, there's some, but if you want an advanced degree in medicine, you have to go abroad, Italy or the Soviet Union. So Hawa's looking at all this, and she's thinking, okay, I really want to do this, but okay, my family can't just cough up the money right away. And okay, yeah, I'm a girl. Okay, details. One of her favorite teachers at school is her Russian teacher. And
Russian language?
Russian language, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I guess, the USSR had Russian teachers in Somali schools. So she writes him a letter and tells him about her aspirations to become a doctor and asks him if he knows of any jobs she can do to earn money or any scholarships she could apply for so she can pursue her desire to become a doctor. Well, her Russian teacher, and I'm getting a lot of this from her autobiography called Keeping Hope Alive. Her Russian teacher, whom I'm going to mention by name, Dmitry Stepanechov, because he turns out to be totally awesome. He writes to the Soviet Women's Commission in Moscow and manages to get our Hawa a scholarship to study medicine in the USSR.
Oh, like a full ride, just money and
apparently.
Everything. Yeah, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Great. So she's going to get to go abroad and get some pretty advanced medical training. USSR is I mean, they're known for that at this time.
Yes, yeah, and she already knows some Russian.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So it's 1964. Young Hawa hops on a plane, actually several planes she has to, change. And I say the USSR, at the time, Kiev is in the USSR. So
right.
She's studying in Kiev, in Ukraine.
Oh.
And
shout out to Ukraine. My Ukraine book, as of the day that we are recording this episode, my Ukraine book was released today. So
hey, congratulations.
Plug that, yeah. My new
I'm looking forward to reading
book on the history of the Ukraine war. So definitely check that out.
Yes. At fine bookstores everywhere.
Yes. And even some bad ones. Even bad bookstores will sell the book, I think.
Are there bad bookstores or just misguided? Come on. We support bookstores here at Badass. So she gets to Kiev and she clearly belongs in this program, but she feels a little bit like a fish out of water. Some of the, as she describes it in her autobiography, some of the Soviet people there hadn't really ever met anyone in person with skin darker than theirs. And so they just ask her, "Oh, are you from Cuba?" Because they just assume that she, as well as some other Somali students who were there too, they were just like, "Oh, are you from Cuba?" So she rolls with it,
Mm-hmm. She has a sense of humor. That's one thing that'll come up a lot, is that she's extremely, just from listening to her talk, watching any interviews with her, reading her writing, she comes across immediately as brilliant, extremely smart, but she's also very funny.
Yes. I recommend reading her autobiography. It's a lot of, there's some really tough stuff going on, and she's got this sense of humor and this warmth and this, dare I say, wisdom in it. So yeah, and she's describing her time at the Soviet university, at the Kiev University, and she says, she reports something that one of the professors said that stuck with her. So the professor acknowledges that students were coming from many different cultures, not just Somalia. Students were coming from Ghana, Tanzania, Ethiopia, others. And the professor encourages them to think for themselves. And he says, please, don't hate us, the Soviets. Take the good things that you find in our life so you can strengthen your country. And the bad things, leave them.
That's good. That's good advice.
Yeah. So, she gets her medical degree. She actually meets her future husband there, and she's a doctor. And somewhere along the lines, I just mentioned this because it will become relevant later. She buys a little bit of seaside property in Mogadishu for apparently $425. This will become relevant later. And she works in a hospital in Mogadishu. She also teaches. She's a tough grader. She says to her students, if you don't know this subject, I will not give you a grade. I don't want to cheat my people. I don't want to say that you're a doctor when you actually don't know anything. So she's tough, and she has her reasons for being a tough grader.
And this alone is enough for you to think that she's a badass, I imagine.
Oh yeah, yes, I'm taking notes. I'm totally taking notes.
Great stuff. I mean, honestly, when we talk about badass, what we kind of say is that you've overcome all the odds to achieve your goal. And I do feel like this was an unlikely journey already in this story.
Yes.
He hasn't even stared down armed gunmen yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she practices medicine during the day, and she also decides that she wants to go for a law degree. So while she's practicing medicine during the day, she's going to night school and getting her law degree, part-time over several years. She's a doctor, and she's actually not just a doctor, but an OB-GYN. She's one of Somalia's first female OB-GYNs. And yeah,
with a law degree, not just MD, PhD, but MD, JD.
yes, which apparently is a thing, as Dr. Hawa Abdi has shown. Yes. So she's got this, she's got the situation in Mogadishu, but she's thinking about her people. She's thinking about all her people. And she knows that there are women out in the country, out in the rural areas, who need medical treatment but aren't able to get into the city, or maybe even don't know enough to ask for the right type of treatment. So she wants to start a rural clinic, even though she's got this career at the hospital.
Right. She's a teacher. She's a lawyer. I mean, I guess she's not a practicing lawyer, but she's a teacher. She's got a nice job presumably making a decent amount of money in the city, but she wants to go out and help women in the countryside. And you've got to imagine that she's thinking about her mom there, mom not being able to get the care that she needed. And, there's one thing about having the nice cushy job. It's the Batman thing you just said. It's like, she's got the nice cushy job. She can maybe make money, and she can, that can be her career. She can have a very good career, she could be the head of the department at some point, maybe the head of the hospital, blah, blah, blah. But, in the countryside, people are dying at a higher rate than they are in the city, presumably. And if she can get out there, maybe she can make a real difference to women that, maybe would have a lower survival rate if she wasn't out there to help them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so she gets this rural clinic, and where does she decide to put it?
So her family has some property out in the country. It's not much. It's only so much. So she wants to acquire more land next to her family's property. Do you remember that Mogadishu seaside property that she bought for, peanuts?
Yes, $425.
Yes. Yeah. She sells it for $75,000 US.
Wow, that's a good return on investment.
That's how many orders of magnitude more? Yeah. So good on her for good real estate investment. And so she uses the proceeds to buy, she wants to use the proceeds to buy land out in the country, adjoining her family's property along the Afgoya Road, which is I mentioned this road. It's the road leading from Mogadishu out towards Afgoya, which is a town, out kind of to the west. And this road, it's one of the only usable roads in the area. And if you read her autobiography, the Afgoya Road is it's almost a character in its own right, because so much happens along this road.
Yeah, I imagine one of the few paved roads into the big city and to the coast from the interior. All roads kind of lead to this road eventually.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. But even with that money, money is only useful if you can find someone to sell you the thing that you want to buy. So she has to go around and she has to find landowners. And so she has to meet with this landowner who's abutting her parents' property here, and this landowner over here, and this landowner over here. She wants to assemble a mosaic from a contiguous mosaic from all of these properties. And sometimes people want to sell, sometimes they don't. She has to have conversations with them, and she has to know how to pitch each conversation to fit each person. She invites them over for dinner. She's like, oh, hey, you knew my father. Okay. And so it doesn't happen overnight, but it works. She's able to build out from her family's property. And I mention this not just because it shows you kind of some of the challenges in building up this rural clinic, but it also illustrates that she's got people skills. She's really good at forming relationships with people.
Right. She wants to buy three properties that are next to each other, three houses that are next to each other. These people have probably been living there. Their families have been living there for generations. She's going to go knock on their door and be like, hey, can I buy your house for X amount of money? That's a difficult conversation to have, especially 3 times in a row with 3 different people who are all next door neighbors. But she does manage to do it. And this is a thing that we're going to see consistently with Hawa Abdi, is that she's good at this kind of thing. She's a very charismatic person and good at convincing people. She's very passionate when she talks about the things she cares about. When she's talking about getting healthcare for women in underprivileged areas, she is very passionate about it, and that energy is contagious. So great. So she gets this land and she's gonna build her clinic.
Yeah, and not just a clinic. She also wants to make sure that it's economically as self-sustainable as possible. So she plants fruit trees, mango, papaya, lemon, grapefruit, and she gets contractors in to build the clinic. Now, okay, there must be some like truism about human nature, the way human society is, because she gets grief from the mayor of Afgoya. And he apparently, I'm fuzzy on this, but apparently he has some sort of jurisdiction here, or he claims he has some sort of jurisdiction here. Mm-hmm. And he says, oh, no, you can't build this way. You have to pay some additional fees. I think the takeaway is you can't fight City Hall.
Sure.
And Ben, you mentioned Hawa Abdi's sense of humor. So she says, and if I understand her autobiography correctly, she says this to the mayor of Afgoya's face directly. She says, I heard there were bandits in the region, but I didn't think that they would be coming from the mayor's office.
Great. She's not afraid of anything. She's not afraid of anything or anybody. And that's going to come up
and
again.
And she's not afraid of the mayor of Afgoya. Yeah.
No.
I'm now thinking, like, could you do like a little like SimCity video game version of this? Like, okay, your character has to build a clinic in Somalia, and then you have to get, you have so much money, and then the mayor. Okay.
But she's not wrong. There are bandits in the region,
oh, yes.
like literal armed
totally
men, like warlords and stuff. Like this is Somalia in the like 1980s. This is, like not like a few years before Black Hawk Down, right? There's a lot happening in Somalia at this time.
So there are like random bandits banditing around, and then there are also militia guys, and these are militia from the president, Siad Barre, at the time. And so Siad Barre, the president, on the one hand, he did do some things to promote the rights of women. On the other hand, he was kind of a dictator and had these...
Has a private militia that is extrajudicial.
Yeah. And the Somali culture, and this is something Hawa Abdi really, she almost leads with this theme in her autobiography. A lot of Somali culture is influenced by clans. So if you're Somali, your one parent is from one clan, your other parent might be from another clan. So what clan you belong to and what subdivision within that clan you belong to is really important. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of feuds, beef, whatever, between various clans that just go on for generations and generations. And maybe the original cause of the conflict of the feud is forgotten in the mists of time. Who knows,
Just never-ending family blood feud. Your grandpa ripped off my grandpa, and then your great-grandpa hit my great-grandpa with an axe or whatever. Now we hate each other forever.
Yeah. Like at some point in the mists of time, someone stole someone's goat, and here we are. Mm-hmm. And so Siad Barre belongs to one clan, and it seems like he's targeting people from certain other clans. Okay. So you've got all sorts of things from, Siad Barre, the president, and his militia, down to the mayor of Afgoya. So
down to actual bandits. Everybody wants their cut. Everybody's getting involved in this. This is not as easy as like, let's go build a clinic. I'll just pay it. I have $75,000. I'll just buy the land and then build the clinic. Every step of the way here is like bureaucratic red tape covered with, it's like making a political alliance, making a military alliance. Every step of this is a hard thing. She's got this. Yes. She's got this idea that I am going to like get a medical degree and become a gynecologist and work with underprivileged women. But that is not easy to do in 1983 in Somalia.
Yes. Yeah. There are all sorts of real world situations she has to deal with. So what they do is they do a lot of the building at night under cover of darkness.
What are you guys doing here? Building a hospital?
Yeah.
It's like the thing that you would be like, if you were going to be like, if you're going to talk about making a joke about being like super selfless, I'm going to build like a hospital for like underprivileged people, like if you're going to try to exaggerate, that's what you would say. And they're literally having to hide it and cover it up from the government and from the bandits and from a different government that aren't talking to each other. because everybody's mad about it.
Yes.
It's amazing.
So but it's 1983 and okay, she perseveres. She finally manages to open her own practice in the clinic on her family's farmland. She's 15 miles from the city. The clinic has one room, count it, one. And she sees hundreds of patients a day. And many of these are women who are walking barefoot for miles, carrying infants.
Wow. Just people coming in from everywhere. People need this, right? They need this help. You can't, right? Like you're in rural Somalia, your options are very, very minimal, right? You can give birth at home where the conditions are not like optimal for childbirth, right? Yeah. And so for her to have this clinic, I'll take anybody. I'm not going to charge you. I'm going to charge you minimal money or no money. Pregnant, like 9-month pregnant women walking 15 miles barefoot through the savannah, where, remember, there are warlords and corrupt officials and things. And she's seeing hundreds of these patients a day, most of them by herself, right? Like she doesn't have a big staff or anything. She's just doing this on her own. And she left this big giant practice to start this clinic just to help people because she for no like money or wealth or fame or any of that kind of stuff, just because she felt like it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. She does mention that she manages to hire a woman to serve as the, I don't know, like office manager type person, which I imagine must be very like any help she can get, Yeah,
you need a scheduler. That was my old job. I was a scheduler for doctors for 12 years. And so, it's an important job, but that assistant is not delivering the babies. That's Dr. Abdi.
Exactly. They're freeing up stuff so you can deliver the babies. Now, Somali culture, at least the way Hawa Abdi tells it, okay, yes, there's this whole clan history, but also another big facet of Somali culture is hospitality. So if someone shows up at your door, if a stranger shows up at your door, you share the best that you have. And that's something that Dr. Hawa Abdi takes very seriously. So that's maybe a value that's driving some of what she's doing.
Now, this clinic is working for a while and things are going pretty well. She's building up a reputation, if not, wealth. She is developing this reputation as if you need help and you don't have a lot of means, you can go to her. But we mentioned Black Hawk Down a little earlier. Unrest and civil war and problems are coming to Ethiopia. To Somalia.
But Ethiopia's next door.
Including war with Ethiopia.
And her clinic, remember, is on Afgoya Road, which is the main road out of Mogadishu.
Right. So it's like it's not the highway because there's no highway. It's I'm imagining kind of a 2-lane road here, but but it's the only way in and out of the interior of this country.
Yeah.
From the capital.
And people are leaving Mogadishu in droves. Mogadishu is not a comfortable place to be right now. So many of these people are injured and they pass by her place and they ask, and maybe they're not deliberately coming specifically to see her. Maybe they're just trying to leave Mogadishu. But they come and they ask for water. So, she and her people, her daughters offer water. They ask for medical treatment. How can she say no?
The hospitality thing you were just talking about.
Yeah. And so her land is, it started off as a family farm, not just fruit trees, but there's also grain. And her husband is actually running kind of the farm side of things. So they do have grain. They harvest the grain. So, of course, she shares the grain. And then there's land, and some of the land is not being used for farming; it's just land. And some people build huts in the area, and you've got and this is not just a small number of people come. This isn't some sick traveler stopping by on the way to ask for help. This is refugees leaving. Ideas in there's civil war in Somalia. Somalia is invaded by Ethiopia. There's the U.S. Army is in there, deploying troops. The United Nations is there deploying troops. There is fighting all across Somalia. It's a war zone. And these are refugees from the biggest city
in the country that are fleeing, and on the way out, they're like, "Oh, here's a hospital. Can I maybe get help?" This is like a humanitarian crisis.
Yeah. And hospital, I mean, okay, I don't know about Seattle, but here in Boston, a hospital means like a big, huge building, maybe a complex.
Yes.
And we're talking just like this tiny little one-room clinic, and, yeah. So,
I'm also still trying to deliver all these babies.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's around 800 families that are settling on Hawa's land. Now, these are Somali families. So it's not just like you, your spouse, your kid, and your goat. It's, you, your spouse, your kids, plural, and maybe extended,
aunts,
cousins,
uncles,
and whatever.
Grandparents, right? Everybody lives in the same house kind of thing. And this is one household, but it's 15 people that are all like living together.
Yeah. So an estimate is maybe we're talking around, as far as actual individuals, maybe about 4,000 individuals. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't know where I would get the grain to feed all of them.
No.
So, yeah.
It's becoming like a little village.
Yes. And, and we're committed to taking care of people. So Hawa's, she's got 2 daughters and a son. And her older daughter, Deho, and some cousins set up an assembly line to make chapati bread out of the grain. And Amina, her other daughter, and Ahmed, her son, carry the bread out in baskets, and they go through 20 sacks of sorghum grain per day. I don't know how big these sacks are, but it just sounds like a lot. Mm-hmm. And they do offer meat, but because they're goats. They're always, apparently, like every chapter, there's a goat. And it's like if you're playing Dr. Hawa Abdi Bingo, make sure you have goat on your, meat, she's a doctor. Meat is a good source of protein. But there are lots and lots of people, so she has to ration it out. Mm-hmm. And it becomes, sadly, they have to really be careful. And so they actually wind up dividing the families into 2 groups, Group A and Group B. And so they actually wind up giving rations to Group A one day and Group B the next. Like they have to spread it out even
4,000 people is like a big theater. It's like a theater, right? It's not a, not even a movie. I think way bigger than a movie theater. Like 4,000 people is a lot of people. And you have to feed them every day, and they don't have anything to contribute because they can help work and stuff, but they didn't show up with equipment and food and supplies and things. Okay, so she's running a refugee camp here by herself.
At this point, yeah.
With her 2 daughters and her son and her husband.
She's creative, she's resourceful. She sells some bits of the land that are not actually being used. She sells some jewelry, she liquidates various assets, and she appeals to help from NGOs. She appeals to international organizations. And it works, actually. Somehow they managed to get through. If you take the long view, eventually, yes, she does succeed. Yes, she does manage to keep helping people. Over decades, the one-room clinic turns into actually a 400-bed hospital.
Wow. So a little bit of aid from the NGOs, a little bit of aid from the UN. Because the war there's the Civil War in 1991. She manages to weather that storm. And then after she is able to kind of build up her business and her practice, and, there's a lot of awareness about things that are happening in Somalia around this time. And she's able to kind of capitalize on that, the same charisma you were talking about to get those people to sell her their houses. She's able to get, organizations to donate money to her cause. And she is able to build that small clinic into a hospital. Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily mean, she's using every available resource she has to do this, because there's nothing left over after doing this. Like she's not getting rich off this.
No, she's not. And she has to be very creative and resourceful. And there's a story, I forget exactly when this takes place, but there's a woman who's really, really not doing well with a pregnancy. And Dr. Hawa Abdi is able to save her. And her husband says, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We owe you so much. And he offers money. But what she says is, instead of accepting the money, she says, wait, you have a big tractor. Can we borrow the tractor? And he's like, yes, I will lend you my tractor.
And that's it. So it becomes a 400-bed hospital. She has a farm. She ends up making that a refuge for people to come and get food, free healthcare, a clean place for women to give birth. There's a school at some point associated with this that starts training children. Like kids can, rural families can send their kids to school to get an education. And yes, she is working all the time, 12-hour days, 7 days a week. She's delivering babies and she's treating trauma wounds from the war. She's treating gunshot wounds and shrapnel wounds in addition to delivering babies and, setting broken bones. And on the farming side, they are trying to grow more food. They're fishing. They bought fishing boats to start fishing. And they have, you said Sim City, but that's kind of what it feels like is
actually,
one of those video games where you start building up your area. And, in those games, you don't really have any available resources either. You spend every gold coin as soon as you get it or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
And so she's got this area built up and now it's she's doing like real humanitarian work. She's saving people's lives for free and expecting nothing in return, which is amazing.
Yeah. Earlier we said that at one point it was estimated about 4,000 people, 4,000 refugees, and it grows. And at its height, we are talking 90,000 people.
Wow.
So how do you deal? Well, this could devolve into chaos really, really easily. And at first, she has what she calls a committee of elders to help advise her, but also field requests from people in the community and kind of mediate disputes if there are disagreements among people in the community.
It's forming a government.
Actually, yes.
She's forming a government and a judicial system.
Yeah.
For her hospital.
Yeah. And later on, there are some other refugee camps in the area that aren't really part of her thing, but the UN kind of lumps them all together and just calls that whole area the Hawa Abdi area. And
like on their official maps?
Apparently, yeah. And so, so she actually winds up, I guess she and her committee of elders wind up setting up several different committees of elders to manage, subdivisions of the whole huge area. Her policy is she accepts everyone who asks for help, no matter what clan they're from. She doesn't care what clan you're from, but she knows that other people might care. Mm-hmm. And she does not want this to turn into, clan on clan fighting,
Right. And this isn't anybody's turf.
Yes. Yeah. Like you come here, you put aside your clan differences. And also she knows that, she observes the somaliety around her, and she knows that there has been a lot of domestic violence in Somali households. And she does not like that. So she has two rules. One, if you're here, you're a Somali. Set aside your clan differences. Set aside your clan rivalries. You're a Somali. We're all Somalis. And the other one is no domestic violence. Hey, dude, if we find out that you beat your wife, we are kicking you out. We're dealing with it somehow.
Yeah.
And people are very good about following these rules. They don't want to get kicked out. Now, with a camp this big, of course, things won't be 100% perfect. Dr. Hawa Abdi and her committee of elders, they do set up a certain amount of security to ensure the safety of their patients and the people in the camp. And people generally follow the rules. But from time to time, you do get like a man who does beat his wife, and he gets, they take him to quote unquote jail, which is a storage building that the security guys lock them in to make it clear that Dr. Hawa Abdi means what she says.
You can't especially if it's an OBGYN clinic. What are you doing, guys?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But people are, I'm not excusing anything, but people are in a very stressful situation in this country at the moment. So, anyway, so Dr. Hawa Abdi, she is good with people. And another example of how she's good with people, the word was getting around, there was a rumor going around that some militants were trying to brainwash young men in the camp. And this is a camp with, how many tens of thousands of people. So you can't monitor everything. And also it's a rumor, who knows, whatever. But what Hawa does is she maybe tries to identify the young men who would be most targeted, and she gets them to work for her as nurses' aides in the clinic. And she has, I imagine, sort of like a bulletin board kind of thing with their pictures and their names in the clinic, which gives these young men a sense of identity. They're invested in the clinic. They're proud of the clinic. They're proud of their work at the clinic. So she's giving them, like she's, immunizing them against getting recruited by the militants. Mm-hmm.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. We have a purpose here,
Yeah. Because these people this is a time of civil war. Like, there's the big war in 1991, but even now we're getting into the 2000s, and it's going to come up in the story as we keep going that there is civil war. There is warlordism happening here. There are bands of like militias rolling around, and they're trying to recruit people. So you've got to find the people that they might recruit and be like, no, you're not. You don't have to pick between this warlord or this warlord. You're with us, right? She's creating a community that has a sense of community, right? And so that's great. That seems like it's working.
Yeah, and the clinic, it's in the middle of a very chaotic world, but the clinic is, in many important ways, going strong. Her son and one of her daughters organize a 20th anniversary party for the clinic, and they invite, people at the clinic and friends, colleagues. They also invite some government officials, which is probably a very good move. They set up a nice picnic area, and I just want to dwell on just like a pleasant moment amidst the chaos. Mm-hmm. They set up a picnic area under the mango trees. They bring in a well-known chef from Mogadishu. He spends all night cooking up a big cow and several goats for the festivities. There are flowers all over. People are drumming. They're singing. They're just, having a good time. And, Dr. Hawa Abdi pauses to remember everyone who didn't make it, because you can't save everyone. Mm-hmm. And she publicly says, yep, I'm committed to helping to rebuild Somali society, and I want to help my children and their generation lead into the future, because she knows that this can't depend on her alone. I mean, she's amazing, but for this to be meaningful, it has to last. And she's thinking about the people of Somalia.
Yeah. And this is a nice moment. Maybe we should take a break here with them having this big 20th anniversary party. She's built this clinic up from nothing to make it something great, because this is kind of the midpoint of the story where bad things are coming, and she's going to have to do some pretty badass things to protect this thing that she's built. So let's take a break here, and when we come back, some trouble is going to come to her area, and she's going to have to deal with it like a badass. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Badass of the Week. We have followed Dr. Hawa Abdi from being a bright, intelligent young woman who's watched her mother pass away from complications of childbirth, felt herself very motivated to do something about that and to make sure that this doesn't happen as much to her people in the future. She excels at school. She gets a scholarship to go study abroad in Ukraine to learn to become a doctor. She comes back, basically, has success as a doctor, but then sells everything that she has to buy a free one-room clinic where she, performs, delivers babies and helps people essentially for free, a free clinic that becomes this little community that has built itself up into a safe haven for the people of Somalia who do not have many safe havens around this time. There are militants, there's fighting, there's warfare, and in the Red Cross is there, the UN is there, there's peacekeeping forces in place, there's a lot of fighting, there's a lot of bloodshed, and much of the world isn't doing very much to help. In the year 2000, she is at her clinic, and she's been very good, we've seen, in contacting NGOs for help. So she's able to get the Red Cross to come and bring a convoy of stuff that she needs, mostly medical supplies to continue her practice, because that's not a thing that's very easy. You can't just order gauze on Amazon and have it delivered in 3 days. You have to, right. You have to have it brought in from a boat, and there's Somali pirates out there that are hijacking boats and things. There's all kinds of bad stuff happening in the country.
Yeah, and even if you get it onto the land, you have all sorts of people you have to get through who are going to steal or extort or whatever. Yeah.
Right. You have the mayor, you have, the bandits from City Hall. You have the mayor who's going to make you try to make you pay a fine or whatever, a tax to bring the stuff in, to bring the medical aid in. Yep. And there's actual militias. So at one point in 2000, there's a Red Cross convoy, and it gets blocked because, like you said, it's the one road from Mogadishu to the interior of the city, and she's along it. And so the Red Cross truck is driving along the road, and the road is a good place for militias to stake out to cause trouble. And a group of armed men with RPGs and AK-47s, they come out, they stop the Red Cross convoy, and they block it. And what does Hawa Abdi do? And now we've seen this repeated. We will start to see this repeatedly, because Hawa Abdi, she's just there to help these people. And she really doesn't let anything stop her from her quest. So she goes out there, and at this point, let's see, it's the year 2000. So she is 53 years old, and she decides she's going to talk. Like, the Red Cross is called in, like, we can't get through these militants. They've blocked us. They're going to turn us back, or they're going to basically just plunder, because these militia are in a war. They want to plunder this Red Cross truck because they need the medical supplies to fix their guys up to keep the war going. So Hawa Abdi is like, no, I got this. And she walks out there and talks to the leader of the militants. And we don't have the details of their conversation, but she essentially is like, I'm taking this. And if you want to shoot me, you can do that, but I'm taking this. And after a brief conversation, the Red Cross convoy arrives at her hospital, and it rolls in with a full military escort from the militia that were blocking it ahead of time. Like, I'm picturing dudes hanging off jeeps with machine guns, right? And they...
Wait. So the guys wto were blocking it and wanted to steal it actually turn into
She talks to them, she sets them straight, and now they're gonna make sure that nobody else messes with that Red Cross truck on its way in.
Okay.
Yes.
Good for you, Dr. Hawa Abdi.
Yes. And so this is it, right? She has the school. She advocates medical training for people. Her daughters become doctors. They get jobs at the clinic to help her out. At some point, she goes, Hawa Abdi needs to get brain surgery. So she ends up going to Switzerland to get brain surgery.
Yeah.
Like you do.
Like you do. Well, yeah, because it was some sort of specialized thing. And one of her colleagues managed to get her to go to this clinic in Switzerland where there was a specialist in it. And
right. And at this point, she is well known enough that she is getting invited to conferences, like international conferences. And she is well known as like a humanitarian hero of Somalia. And this reputation is good, but sometimes it's tricky. And in 2010, there is another period of like severe unrest in Somalia. And on May 5th, 2010, Hawa Abdi and the people at her hospital awake to see a convoy of soldiers arriving. And these aren't, Somali government soldiers. This is a militia. They're not wearing uniforms. These are just armed guys. One of these war bands arrive at the hospital. And she is 63 years old at the time. She's been running this for a long time. She's well known, but being well known sometimes draws unwanted attention. So these guys roll up, and they're yelling out of megaphones and stuff. She gets her crew together and she's like, get all the women out. We got to get all the women out of here. I don't know what these guys want or what they're planning on doing, but we have to get all the women out of here. It's for their own safety. I'll buy you as much time as I can. So what does she do? She goes downstairs and she talks to these militant guys, and they say, okay, you got to turn the hospital over to us. It's our hospital now. We want it.
And she's like,
Well, what does she do? She does something very interesting. She's like, let's talk about it. Why don't you guys come back for dinner and I'll have like a nice dinner for us and we can negotiate.
Yeah.
Like, give me like 3 hours to cook you guys a really awesome dinner. Well, and meanwhile, all of the women are getting funneled out the back door. All of the sick and the people who are less likely to withstand a siege are getting out that back door. And she does. She has
it's a real dinner. This is not a bluff.
This is not. Yeah, real dinner. This is not Olya of Kiev, like, let's have dinner and then like a bunch of armed men bust in and chop people up with axes or anything either.
Yeah.
This is
let's have a nice sit down over some, I don't know, roast goat or whatever.
Yeah, it's at this point people are calling her Mama Hawa because she's kind of like everybody's grandma at this point. And she sits down with the leaders and the leaders are like, you need to turn the hospital over to us. And on one hand, they need a hospital because they're
obviously they're getting hurt
in the war. But they're also like very, they're militant. Like this particular group is like, wants like a very militant version of Sharia law installed.
Yeah, so they're
Somalia.
fundamentalists. They're
fundamentalist
extremists.
Fundamentalist Muslim extremists. And so they say, you're a woman, you have no business running anything, let alone this hospital. And Pat, you said she has a sense of humor.
Yeah. So she says, I've been working for the country for the past 20 years. What have you done? And that did not go over well.
Yes.
It didn't go over well with the militants. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I have to say it goes over with those of us who are reading her autobiography and rooting for her. I love when she says stuff like that. But anyway.
She's fearless. She's absolutely fearless. And it's completely badass because she's like, I've been saving people. I run a free clinic here helping people. What are you guys doing? You're blowing everybody up. You're shooting machine guns at civilians. And so
you're being counterproductive.
Yes. Yeah. And so, she's kind of scolding them like they're children and they don't like it. And what do? They attack the hospital, which has security, like you said, but it's not like that, right? These guys aren't going to put up a fight. So the militia attacks the hospital. They shoot it up with their guns. They shoot it with rocket launchers. They shoot it with mortars. Not a lot of people are injured, but there's not a lot of fatalities. They're just wrecking the place. They're mad, and so they start smashing it. They break the generators. They break the medical equipment. They beat some people up. They take some men, women, and children prisoner. They loot everything that's worth looting. They take all the medical supplies. They take all the money. They take everything, and they smash all the stuff that they can't carry with them. They arrest Dr. Hawa Abdi. They put her under house arrest, where they barricade her in her room and put armed guards at the door. And after they've kind of thrashed all of this stuff that she'd spent her entire life building, they show up with the papers and they're like, you sign these papers and hand the hospital over to us. And she refuses. I'm not going to do it.
It takes a lot of guts to refuse in the face of how many armed guys staring you down.
These guys already smashed the hospital. You don't think they're going to hurt you, but no. She's like, no, I'd rather die than sign that piece of paper. You can do whatever you want to me, but I'm not going to do it. And they tell her that she can't do any interviews because remember, she is kind of internationally known at this point.
Yeah, she has contacts. Yeah,
right. And the word is getting out that this is happening here, and people are mad about it. Somalians are mad about it, and people around the world are upset about what's going on here. And they tell her to not have any communication with the outside world. But she refuses that as well. She gets a cell phone in her house arrest room and she starts giving interviews to anybody that'll listen to her. She's calling governments asking for help. She's calling NGOs asking for help. She's talking to reporters all over the place about how she's trapped. She's been locked in by these militants who have thrashed her hospital. I almost said hotel because I think Hotel Rwanda when I think about this story as well. And she's just talking to everybody. And the militants are just like, stop. They don't attack her or hurt her or anything. They're just like, stop doing this.
Yeah. And she says, in her autobiography, she reflects back and she says, since I didn't have a force to fight, I could only raise my voice. Although my physical body was weak, my mouth could defend against 1,000. And so the militia, they know she's been talking to the media, and they tell her repeatedly, do not talk to the media. Do not talk to the media. Do not don't. Lady, stop talking to the media, And she says, I'm not going to stop. And the leader of the militia says, and this is like, we've heard versions of this before, you are an old woman. You need to sit. We are men. We are in control. And then she says, and this is classic Dr. Hawa Abdi, and also remember, she's a doctor, so she knows her anatomy. You are a man. You have 2 testes. A goat also has 2 testes. What have you done for your society? And I'm making it sound like way more sarcastic. If you listen to interviews with her, she's very soft-spoken. Like I don't think she would make it sound as like aggressively sarcastic as I did.
Mm-hmm. Right.
She's very genteel. Yeah.
Yeah. Just because you have this part, it's like that. I mean, so does the goat. The goat actually did more for her than these guys have, because the goat, at least they could eat it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And so, okay. So everybody is losing their minds about this. These a couple hundred militia are in control of the hospital. They've smashed it all up. They're holding her hostage. But the people, she's not backing down. She's defiant. She's like, no, I'm not going to stop doing interviews. You're going to have to kill me if you want me to shut up, because I'm just not going to do it. This is my thing. I built it. I don't have any respect for you guys. I'm not afraid of you. Go to hell.
And she's also convinced of the value of what she's doing. She's helping people.
Right. And it feels almost unassailable to me. Opening up a free clinic to help sick people could be controversial at all.
This is like a stereotypical good thing to do.
Right. Oh, yeah. And so, okay. So her people are extremely loyal to her. Those kids you were talking about that became nursing assistants, all of her people love her, and they're rioting. Basically, they're all prisoners right now. They've all been taken hostage by these militants who are just trying to get her to sign this paper. It's so funny to me that they want her to sign this piece of paper, that's so important to her.
Like the paperwork. Yeah.
Right. Like, yeah. Well, it's not gonna. The government's not gonna accept this if I don't have paperwork. Dude, you're a roving band of pirates. You really need the documents signed.
Pillaging, and it all comes down to the paperwork.
I'm sure there's a lesson there. I have
no idea. Yeah.
And so, okay, her people are rioting. Once she starts to be defiant, like, her people see that she's doing this and they start being defiant too. And when she's like, you're not going to do anything, her people are like, you're not going to do anything. And they don't do anything. And they're starting to get on the back foot because she's taking the initiative here. And then they're like, so then the militia, the 700 armed men with rockets and mortars and machine guns, they start to backpedal in the face of unarmed opposition. And just the sheer force of will of Dr. Hawa Abdi, they're like, okay. You sign the papers, you sign it over to us, but then we'll write it into the contract that, like, you still get to run the hospital and you can kind of do whatever you want, but it's our hospital now. What do you think about that? And she's like, no, get lost. It's my hospital. And they're like, okay, we'll leave and you can have it. We'll make you sign the paper. We'll leave and you can stay here, but when we need medical attention, you got to give it to us for free. She's like, I was already going to do that, but, like, no, not anymore. And they're like, okay, what about, you just have to stop. Okay, we'll leave. You don't have to do anything. We don't need anything else from you. We're just going to leave. But will you please stop saying mean things about us to the news? And she's like, no, I will not do that. She's like, now I will give you my terms.
And what are her terms?
And remember, she's under house arrest, being 63 years old, under house arrest, being guarded surrounded by men with weapons. And she's like,
and spiritually, she might be like Rambo, but physically, she is not.
Right. And she's not this is not a Rambo thing that she's doing right now. I don't even know what this is. This is a total other level of badass.
It's a Dr. Hawa Abdi thing.
Right. This is a totally Dr. Hawa Abdi thing. She says, I will allow you to leave if you give me a public written apology. And the dude she's talking to is on, like, every terrorist watch list in the world at this time. He's on Interpol. He's on the NSA. Like he's like a top 10 most wanted, like terrorists in the world.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Yeah,
no.
it seems like the sort of guy who would, like, why is she even asking this? It seems like, oh my goodness, what is she thinking? Like this guy, he's going to dig in his heels, isn't he? I'm a little worried now. I mean, no, I'm very worried. Is there going to be backlash?
No, he
No.
does it. He writes her a letter apologizing for the damage and promises to get his guys to help rebuild the hospital. He donates generators to bring the hospital back online.
Good.
He has his militia guys help the people who work there rebuild the hospital.
As he should.
He writes a letter saying that he's really sorry.
Yeah.
Dr. Hawa Abdi, I'm very sorry for the damage I caused you. It was my fault. I was just having a really hard time, and I'm under a lot of pressure as a militia leader here. But if anyone happened to be offended by what I did, I apologize to them.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Well,
he wrote
he has it in writing.
Yes, he wrote a real letter apologizing
Yeah.
for blowing up her hospital. Then he helped rebuild it, and then he left, and she got her hospital up and running again.
Yeah. And she also got some paperwork out of it.
She didn't have to. Yeah, she got paperwork. She got him to sign a thing.
Yeah. So, okay. So she, using her Hawa Abdi skills, she like de-escalated them and kind of got them to do a total 180.
Yes.
Ha!
Amazing, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
And then she keeps running her hospital. There's a big drought in Somalia in 2011 where this huge number of people come to her for help, and she's able to do it. She can wrangle aid from NGOs. And she becomes a big celebrity because when this stuff was going down, she gets a lot of international attention. Militants show up again in 2012. She's able to talk them out of it and continues all of her work. She writes her autobiography, which you were reading, Pat.
Yeah, I recommend it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And she gets recognition. She's nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. And the hospital operates until her death in 2020 at age 73. She's a woman who dedicated her entire life to helping people, and she went all out. You literally couldn't stop her from doing that by putting a gun in her head.
Yeah.
She wasn't going to back down from it. And that's...
no, and she was also good. If you put a gun to her head, she's going to find a way to talk you into putting down the gun,
and
apparently.
And saying you're sorry that you resorted to that.
Yeah.
And
I like this kind of badassery.
Yeah. Like, completely unarmed. I don't need a gun. I don't need a sword. But I'm just going to use my own force of will to get the thing that I want, because I'm so sure that the thing I'm doing is right. And
force of will, and also good relations that she's cultivated with all sorts of people.
Right. Everybody likes her because she's doing good work and she's friendly and nice. And this is not something that we see generally amongst badasses that we talk about on the show for the most part.
We need to expand our definition of badasses.
Yeah, I think so. I think we are. She has a foundation that continues after her death. I'm not sure if the hospital's where the hospital's at right now, but I know her daughters run her foundation currently, and it's doing a lot of really good charitable work to help underprivileged people in Somalia and across the Horn of Africa.
Yeah, and I found out that one of her daughters, Deho, in addition to working with the Dr. Hawa Abdi Foundation, also runs a spin-off foundation called the Hagarla Institute. And that deals with public health crises stemming from climate change in the Horn of Africa. And Dr. Deho has spearheaded the cultivation of a type of tree called Moringa oleifera, which is ideal for dealing with these circumstances. It's a fast-growing tree that is drought resistant, and the leaves are really nutritious and actually a good source of protein, which I just thought was cool.
Yeah.
So
that's super cool. Having survived that drought, that horrible drought.
Oh my goodness,
so many Somalians in 2011. That's good. This is change.
Yes.
Good change for good, right? Which is just really nice to have a positive story and a happy ending here. So, Pat, I guess what's the lesson that we learned from the story of Dr. Hawa Abdi?
Oh, there's so many in a way. Take care of your people. Think about the greater good.
It's bravery, standing up for what you believe in the face of all possible opposition, right? What we talk about with badasses is that things are stacked against them, and they don't care. They just keep going, and we see that time and time again with her. She's not cutting her way through armies with a weapon. She is unstoppable force. She's an unstoppable battering ram of providing affordable medical care to people who need it.
Yeah. And maybe her own words might be good for a lesson. Or at least a reflection. This is from an interview she had with Scott Douglas Jacobson. So Dr. Hawa Abdi says, perseverance is very important. We have come from the medieval times to many new inventions and advancement in medicine that better the lives of everyone in the world. As mentioned before, the world is one and we cannot separate. In order to change the world for the better, we must first learn to love and respect one another. Then we can work towards peace, then finally unity in the world.
That's a good message.
Yeah.
It's definitely more Mother Teresa than Rambo, though. She faced out. Yeah. She was Mother Teresa. If Mother Teresa defeated Rambo in an argument.
Yes.
And that's the story. That's the story of Dr. Hawa Abdi, a badass that just really went to every extreme to overcome every obstacle that was presented before her, and made her country and her people and the world. Her impact was not just felt among the families that this woman might not have survived childbirth without her, or perhaps you have these situations where the mother and the child both die during childbirth. The number of just individual lives she saved through her work, extremely impactful to the families that she touched, but also bettered her people and bettered her country and bettered the world for being here. So that's Dr. Hawa Abdi, and that's Badass of the Week. We want to say thank you guys so much for listening to this episode, and thank you, Pat, for helping tell this story. It's a really
thank
good
you,
one.
Ben.
Yeah. This is a good one. And thank you guys so much for listening. And we hope to see you again on another episode in the future. We release these every week, and we love that you guys keep coming back to listen to them. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.
Stay badass.
Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content. Executive producers are me, Ben Thompson, Dr. Patricia Larish, and Andrew Jacobs. Writing is by me and Pat. Story editing by Ian Jacobs. Mixing and music and sound design by Jude Brewer. Special thanks to Noel Brown at iHeartRadio. Badass of the Week is based on my website, badassoftheweek.com, where you can read all sorts of stories about other badasses. If you want to reach out with questions or ideas, you can email us at badasspodcast@badassoftheweek.com. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, follow, listen, and tell your friends and tell your enemies. And please leave us a rating. We'll be back next week with another one.